Hello and welcome to the first episode of the AccelByte Partner Spotlights. These videos will take you behind the scene on some of the coolest game studios that we in AccelByte get to work with to understand their journey, in different stages of game development, from concept to pre-production, production launch, and live service, right? And with that, let's jump right in. It's like today I'm chatting with my friend, Stephen Ball, CEO of AlwaysGeeky, the studio behind Voxie Tactics. Hey, Steve.
Hey, nice to chat with you today. How's it going, Raymond?
Yeah. So, Steve, you've been in the industry for a while, right? I mean, like you work in EA, you work in Ubisoft, you ship a lot of like AAA game development. And so we knew each other from when we were building the online system in Ubisoft. And now, but like what we're talking about right now is that you are the CEO of the studio AlwaysGeeky. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started AlwaysGeeky and why the name AlwaysGeeky?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have a history going back from Ubisoft, so that's fun. So yeah, talking about AlwaysGeeky games. So originally, AlwaysGeeky was my handle online, so it's kind of like my online alias. Before I founded the company, so it kind of made sense to use that when I founded my own company. And basically, when I told everybody the name of the company, AlwaysGeeky Games, everybody was like, "Wow, that's a really cool kind of sounding name. It kind of rolls off the tongue really well." So that I knew instantly that was onto a winner. AlwaysGeeky Games. It kind of has almost like a rhyming kind of sound to it, so that's cool. So the company basically we founded this company about a year and a half ago. Basically to create the next generation of future games, which we personally feel is gonna have some kind of interaction with player ownership, and talking about this new technology, blockchain technology, NFT, crypto-based stuff, player-driven economies. That's basically how we founded the company, on those kind of basis, to kind of really see if we can be at the forefront of this kind of new emerging kind of type of games that's going to be coming right now and in the future, basically.
Right. So for you guys who are watching, AlwaysGeeky, you guys just released Voxie Tactics a couple of months ago, right? It is a very unique turn-based RPG game, right? Where basically you get to explore the world and you can challenge your friends. You can go against the AI, and again, like the really unique thing about this is that you can earn cryptocurrencies and you can bring your Voxie's NFT into the game, right? Where you can then and I know that you have like a big roadmap ahead of you on where you want to take this to, right? So I kind of want to drill in a little bit into what you said about like when you started the company, is like you want to go for the next generation of games, right? With the whole player ownership and all that. So naturally, you go with the NFT and blockchain route. Tell us more about how you came to that decision, right? Because again, it's a wild west right now. It's a very much uncharted territory.
Sure.
So there are a lot of risks associated with it, right? So like, why did you choose that route?
Yeah, sure. That's an interesting talking point. So a bit of a background on Voxie Tactics and how we got to this stage. So originally, this was a game I was kind of making in my spare time. It was kind of a passion project for me while I was working at traditional gaming studios like Ubisoft, and very much I was making a game that I wanted to play as a child. So talking about Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem or Tactics Ogre, a lot of these kind of very retro style SNES and PlayStation RPGs and tactical based games. So I was really making like an homage to those type of games. And then that kind of was going along in my spare time, and that kind of was pre kind of NFT and blockchain gaming becoming a really new kind of paradigm of gaming. And so when I kind of saw this new and upcoming kind of shift in digital assets and player ownership, I found that this really worked super well with the kind of game design that I was making. So making a game where the players can own a number of characters, they can own a number of items in the game, like swords and shields and any kind of digital assets, like a traditional role playing game. And this seemed to work really well with this new concept of player ownership to, player economies. So if you think like in a traditional role-playing game, a player might kind of go to like a tavern or a shop and sell off their junk items. They might sell off the swords that they've been using. Um, to the computer, to the NPC, and this is kind of like as far as the kind of functionality for that goes. But we really realized that looking at a lot of games that have started to like play around with player economies and kind of player ownership, this could work really well with that kind of concept. So in Voxie Tactics, like you mentioned, the player basically owns everything that they use in the game. So all of the characters that they own. So if they have like a bunch of knights or mages or rangers, any of these kind of character classes that they use to battle, players actually own those, and if they want to, they can sell them to their friends, they can loan them to their friends, they can really kind of own that kind of aspect of the gameplay. And this also works in the same way for the currency in the game. So in a traditional game where you would be earning like gold or rupees or any kind of currency, in our game the players actually earn cryptocurrency. So they can do everything they would do in the game with this cryptocurrency like they would a normal currency in the game, but they can also take this out of the game. So they can use this outside of the game to buy on the marketplace, to trade with their friends. They can even cash this out into real world currencies if they want. So this gives our game a very good kind of aspect where players can play the game, but they can also see like a real world kind of connection to that. They're effectively able to earn currency that they can use out of the game. And we've built a whole ecosystem around this. So stuff like trading, loaning, recruiting new characters. This is all built into our kind of ecosystem model, so that we have like a kind of a cyclic model basically. So this is for us. This is the super fun part about making a very new cutting edge game that's using all of these technologies, NFTs, blockchain, cryptocurrency. And that's basically, why we decided to go down this route, because we feel this is a very new cutting edge technology. And we personally feel this is going to be big for gaming in the future. The same way that microtransactions are big, the same way that mobile gaming is big, the same way that social gaming like streaming and Twitch is super big kind of niches within the game industry. At AlwaysGeeky Games, we really feel that blockchain gaming is going to be like another aspect of, the games industry.
Right. And so if you have a time machine, right, and then like if you were to start over, it's like how would you change your approach on building Voxie Tactics or the next set of games that's in the Voxie universe, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things we've learned over the last like year and a half, while building Voxie Tactics and while being in this kind of very new space of NFTs and blockchain gaming, is players really are interested in what you're building. Players really like to see progress, really like to see roadmaps, really like to see schedules and things like that. Much more than traditional gaming. Like in traditional gaming, people know that a game is going to be released from a major studio in like 1 or 2 years, and people just basically are very patient and wait for that period of time. One of the things we've noticed with this new space is people are very interested in the kind of the building process, because a lot of people like to get invested and like to kind of get engaged at an early stage before the actual release schedule. We find that it's super important to kind of keep people updated. So having mini milestones, having like a very clear roadmap on when stuff is going to be coming out and what you're going to be giving to the players. We feel this is really good for keeping the community engaged. So going back to your question, if I was to kind of start again and change a bit of our approach, I would just kind of focus on this area a bit more, like making sure that we have a very clean schedule, a very clear roadmap, and we're able to kind of stick to that as we deliver the project to the players. That's the part that I would definitely kind of make sure that we were to focus on and do a very good job at if I was to start again.
Right. Yeah, I know that like working together, you guys are laser focused on your community, and you guys do really want to engage your community, and like and it resonates, right? Like the community really becomes part of your decision making. So that's always great to hear. Now you built the studio with a lot of interesting factors, right? I mean, like, obviously COVID, and then like I think like it's all remote. I think like when you went to LA the other day to NFTCon, it's like that was the first time your team saw each other in person. So,
That's right. Yeah.
um, and then and then you ship the game in a very very short amount of time, right? Like what are some of the challenges that you and the team in Always Geeky faced when you're delivering that, like the first milestone and subsequent milestones?
Yeah, that's a super interesting question. It's always good to kind of look back and reflect on stuff. I think since I was just talking about that a second ago, talking about roadmaps and schedules and things like that, and relating to your question, I think one of the big challenges we've faced regarding this is just not being super clear on exactly like what our roadmap is. So that's exactly the part I would change again, going back in time, is making sure that before diving headfirst into this kind of process, that everything is kind of planned out, and there's lots of schedules and roadmaps and stuff all decided beforehand. So that's for me, I think, where we've noticed the big challenge is trying to make sure the scheduling fits in with our kind of internal roadmap and our internal kind of development process, making sure that our outward facing deliverables and what the players are expecting fits in and matches up with that.
Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. And speaking of partnerships, like you guys are partnering with AccelByte. Like we are powering some of the backend systems that Voxie Tactics is using. Knowing you personally is like I know that you are fully capable to build a really scalable backend, right? But like, what makes you decide to partner with AccelByte, or as in like, why did you what makes you decide not to build it in house?
Yeah. So for us and for me personally, knowing where my skills lie and knowing where your personal skills lie, for me it was kind of a no-brainer to partner with you guys, because I know AccelByte is specialist in a lot of the stuff that you do, a lot of those back-end services. So for us, basically, we looked at different trade-offs. So building stuff on our own versus partnering with a specialist like AccelByte, and for us, basically, handing over responsibility of all of the back-end services and things like the player login, the player profiles, any of the services you guys offer, like leaderboards or friend services. For us, that's where we decided not to spend our investment time and look to specialists like you to do that for us, and that way then that allows us to kind of concentrate on the stuff that we're specialists in, and that's like making games, doing the actual kind of gameplay development. So that was basically our decision making process. We looked at the trade-offs, and it made total sense for us to kind of partner with you guys for stuff that's going to make our lives easier.
That's awesome. And I know that the team is super excited to work with you guys. And I know you have big plans. So like, what can you share to the watcher, to the listener, to the audience on like, well, what's next? Like, what's big for Voxie Tactics and for Always Geeky?
Yeah, sure. So like you just mentioned previously, like, we have a lot of big plans. Currently at the moment, the status of the game is we're in open beta. So we're currently testing out all of the multiplayer features, the 1v1 battling, and all of our kind of draft and extreme arena modes. So coming very soon after this is we're just, plowing forward with our roadmap. So we're going to be enabling lots of cool features in the next 6 months, like, the PvE experience, the single player mode, the exploration mode, as well as kind of adding lots of cool features around our kind of economy basis. So enabling earning currency inside the game, enabling renting and loaning features where people can kind of share in the profits if they loan out their digital assets. Plus a whole bunch of kind of features we're working with you guys on, extending our leaderboards, extending like our friend services, in-game chat, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, we have a good ambitious roadmap for the next 1+ year.
All right, cool. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's talk about you, right? I mean, like I think this is your first CEO role. Like what advice would you share for others who are thinking of starting their own venture? I mean, like going in the route of like Always Geeky, right? I mean, like jumping in, making the next generation set of games and things like that. What kind of advice can you share with others in your position?
Yeah, that's a super interesting question. We were just discussing about the CEO role offline, and I was sharing my personal experiences. So my top advice for anybody wanting to start their own studio or wanting to build stuff on their own, going down this route, is really to make sure you have good people around you, because once you go down this route and once you start to build out a studio and employ people, there's only so much work you can do yourself. So I've personally realized the hard way over the last 12 plus months that there's only so much I can do myself. So being a CEO and being in charge really does take full time of your work. So if you are wanting to run your own studio and wanting to go down that route, my advice to you is make sure you have good people doing the jobs for you that you're not going to have time to do yourself. So that means employing people that are going to take care of the project management, the HR side, the accounting side. Because as a CEO of a growing and large indie studio, you're never going to have enough time to do everything. So yeah, making sure you have good people to help you out is probably my key advice.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really great suggestion, and for folks who are thinking of following your footsteps. Now, before we wrap it up, let's do a lightning round.
Okay.
Where basically I'll ask you questions, and then it's a snap judgment thing, right? So all right, you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. What's the first game you ever played?
The first game, that's a tricky one. Probably something on the Atari, Asteroids, Pac-Man. I had an Atari growing up, so those games.
Yeah, me too. Actually, also played Atari, and then for some reason, the first game that I played was Smurf.
Oh, okay. I think actually, if I was to kind of be a bit more tactical in my decision, I think the games which kind of shaped me from an early age is probably early PC games. So I was a very big fan of Command and Conquer, Quake, Warcraft, the original kind of PC games before Windows and before we actually had good user interfaces. Me and my friends used to spend hours and hours playing Command and Conquer all night long. So yeah, that has a special place in my heart.
Right. I actually off topic here is I finally watched Dune, and then
nice.
It's and obviously one of the first tactical game that I played earlier was Dune with the Arrakis and Harkonnen and
yeah, I mean, those early kind of tactical strategy games, they shaped the next 2 or 3 decades of gaming. So yeah, we have a lot to be thankful for Command and Conquer, Dune, all of those early games.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you playing right now? What's your favorite game right now?
Right now, I'm actually playing Cyberpunk. I know it's a couple of years behind, but I finally got Cyberpunk on the PlayStation 5, and when I get some spare time, I'm diving into that. It's super fun. It's really really well built world, and I think I've been kind of lucky in that I've missed out in the kind of the buggy era of Cyberpunk. I think they've fixed most of the issues now, so I'm enjoying playing that. It's really good fun.
Nice, yeah. And what is the game release you're most excited about this year?
This year, that's a tricky one. I'm not sure what's coming soon. I know it's already been released, but I haven't really played it yet. I managed to get Triangle Strategy on the Switch, so of course that's a tactical game, so it's very close to work. And I haven't had a chance to dive into that yet. So that released a couple of months ago. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to playing most after Cyberpunk.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Steve. I had a great time chatting up and catching up and hearing about your experience building AlwaysGeeky and Voxie Tactics. And of course, Voxie Tactics is in open beta right now, so check it out, voxies.io, right?
That's right, yeah.
And yeah, so I'll see the rest of you in the next edition of AccelByte Partner Spotlight, bringing you some of the behind the scene for some of the coolest game studios that we in AccelByte get to work with. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.
Cool. Right. Thank you, Raymond. Cheers.